Here we go. Welcome into Golden State Warriors today. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of Dub Nation is doing fantastic. Coming your way on today's show with the NBA trade deadline coming up next week already on February 9th. We're going to be doing some great coverage here on the show as well as on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. We're going to look at 5 trade targets the Warriors should avoid with the deadline looming. Without further ado, let's take a look at this list. So let's start off with Eric Gordon here, sharpshooter for the Houston Rockets. Obviously with Houston, that's a team that once again in terms of win-loss success is not having a great year. There's a reason for that though. They have a very young team and one of the youngest teams in the NBA, led by Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, Jabari Smith. And because of that, Eric Gordon could get dealt, or he could be a buyout candidate, which is why I'm not sure that Gordon would be a good trade piece for Golden State. He'd make more sense as a buyout candidate because the rental isn't worth the trade assets if you can get him pretty much for free on that buyout market. You look at what he's doing this year, definitely not as well as he played last year when it was kind of an outlier for how well he shot the ball from three-point range. 41.2% a year ago. This year, it's down to 33.5%. Now with the Warriors, he might get some more open looks. Points per game, about a point shy of last year's mark. Field goal percentage, about 4 points down. Last year, averaging 5.3 three-pointers a game. And if you're like, well, he's not getting as much playing time or shots, he is. Because the three-point attempts this year, identical at 5.3. And shooting is not the Dubs' biggest need, right? Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, they're going to be able to shoot the basketball. There are other bigger question marks with this basketball team. Bench depth, the secondary playmaker, and as I've said over the last couple of years, because of the lack of development for James Wiseman, front court, a little bit of a concern as well. That's why Gordon, not much of a logical fit. With that, we're going to continue to keep it moving and take a look at these trade candidates who the Warriors should avoid. But who do you think is the trade target that you want the Warriors to avoid? Let us know. Going to be the pinned comment, so if you get hit with that ad break, scroll on down, get those names in. Another player to discuss here is Cam Reddish of the New York Knicks. We talked a couple of weeks ago about Golden State's potential interest in Cam Reddish. The idea of it sounds good, right? A player who is young, he's athletic, he's shown some signs of being a good player. All he has done, though, in the NBA is show those flashes. And he's shown those signs. The consistent play has not been there for Cam Reddish. In the Eastern Conference playoff run a couple of years ago for Atlanta, he was injured. He comes in, starts draining threes, and you're like, this guy's value is pretty high. Then he gets traded to the New York Knicks, and you're like, why would the Hawks do that? They weren't happy with his development or lack thereof. He goes to New York, barely playing. Why? Lack of development once again, kind of on the outside looking in at Tom Thibodeau's rotation that sometimes has gotten DNP'd this year. And look, at some point, you just have to come to the realization that a player might not be who you thought he was going to be. It's year 4. None of the flashes have translated to consistent success. Yes, the Warriors have done a great job of developing talent over time, and Cam Reddish could be another one of those guys. But you look at the numbers here for what he's done in his NBA career. Comes in 2019, 2020, shoots less than 40% from the field as well as three-point range. Year after that, three-point numbers go down to 26.2%. Last year, combined with the Hawks and Knicks, 40% from the floor, 36% from three. And this year, limited opportunities, yes, but limited opportunities because 45% from the deck and 30% from three is not going to cut it. 28 straight DNPs with the Knicks. That's staggering. Means that he's not doing anything in practice to prove that he's worthy of being in that rotation. 28 straight times that Tom Thibodeau has had an opportunity to put him in the basketball game, and he said, you know what, we're going to keep you on the bench because we think that there are other better options on this roster. That right there, a little bit of a problem. Now, today's Golden State Warriors Today is sponsored by Rocket Money. Start optimizing your finances and take control of your spending with Rocket Money today. Head to rocketmoney.com/NBA now, and you can cancel your unused subscriptions with just the tap of a button. And in the process, as you see with some of these pictures, you can track all of your expenses on one single page. I love this app, formerly known as Truebill. Are you wasting money on those subscriptions? Because 80% of people have subscriptions they totally forget about. Maybe for you, unused Amazon Prime account, Hulu account that never gets streamed. This app, it's fantastic. It shows you all of your subs in one place, as I said. Cancels for you whatever you don't still want. And you may even find out you've been double charged for a subscription. Rocket Money, easy to cancel it. They take care of it all. So get rid of those useless subscriptions today with Rocket Money now. Head to rocketmoney.com/NBA now. That's rocketmoney.com/NBA now. We've all run into those situations, folks, where we see a subscription hit our bank account and we're like, wait, I was still paying for that? With Rocket Money, that will never happen. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. 3 more trade targets to avoid. John Collins, for a couple of reasons. He's too expensive. I don't really like the roster fit. Warriors do need size alongside Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, but Collins' style isn't a great fit. More of a uber athlete, more of a high flyer, a guy who can live out on that perimeter, and Golden State needs a bigger body down low. They don't need a guy who can stretch out to the three-point arc. Now, he's a good player, so doubt about that, but his role kind of shrinking in Atlanta, and with that, his frustrations increasing to a certain degree. Like from 2018 to 2022, you're looking at, an all-star caliber player who was good on both ends, good two-way man with Trae Young, average 18.5 points per game, can shoot the three-pointer for his size, which is pretty good, and is also a good rebounder because he can sky. But this year, points per game from those previous 4 down by 5, rebounds per game down, field goal attempts down, field goal percentage and three-point percentage all down, and this is a very expensive player on top of that lack of production and him not fitting in with this Warriors roster. This year, 23. Next year, 25 million. Year after that, nearly 26.5, and then the year after that's a player option at 26.58, unrestricted free agent in 2026 at 29 years old. A reminder to subscribe to what we're cooking and shaking here on Warriors Today. It's the best coverage out there. Leading up to the NBA trade deadline, we're trying to pump out as many videos as possible. Trade rumors, trade targets. We also getting you involved more than any other Warriors channel out there with some of our mailbag segments as well, where we open up the floor and take your questions. Another trade target to avoid, Jay Crowder. Now, I kind of like Jay Crowder's game. This guy's tough. He's rugged. He's a dog. He's a classic 3-and-D. Hasn't played all year with the Phoenix Suns. Reason for that, didn't see eye to eye with that organization. And now Phoenix this year also really struggling. It's a guy with a lot of playoff experience. This guy is battle-tested, but according to reports, the Bucks given permission to speak with Jay Crowder about a potential trade. Unique circumstance there because Phoenix, he's on the roster. He's not playing. And technically, he's not allowed to tamper, right? As we see the NBA trying to ban tampering all the time and lay down and levy down those suspensions and fines. But the Bucks given permission to seek a trade for him. Here's the reported Bucks offer, and it's not that much if the Warriors wanted to get into action here. Jordan Nwora, Serge Ibaka, George Hill. I mean, George Hill and Serge Ibaka are washed. And second-round picks in exchange for Jay Crowder, going to be interesting to see what happens on that front. And think about it, right? Is Crowder worth future trade assets? I'm not sure what you'd have to give up for him. I don't think it's that much. It's a 6-month rental, most likely. So probably not, but a name certainly to monitor for all teams in the NBA as we approach the deadline. Your confidence level in the current Warriors roster, scale it 1 to 10. I had called out a lot of the national media types who said the Warriors are not championship contenders. I said that's absolutely ridiculous, right? But this year, they look smart, and I've kind of misfired on that. I do think the Warriors are going to be able to get it together in the second half of the season. All right, name number 5 here, Jakob Poeltl. Now, we've talked a lot about Jakob Poeltl here on the show, and we've talked about the advantages. How about the disadvantages of him coming to the Warriors? The on-court fit is actually pretty nice. He is that big body down low. He does not live around the three-point arc. He is low maintenance in terms of him needing the basketball. But his fit would fill a big need for the Dubs, but among all these players, I think the asking price might be one of the highest among these trade candidates because this is a really good player who's a valuable player for a playoff level team, especially for a team like the Warriors. 12 points per game this year, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, more than a block, shoots 62% from the floor, does not shoot the 3 ball at all. But again, Warriors don't really need that. According to reports, here's another reason why you don't make the trade. Could command, and this is the craziness of these NBA contracts these days, $20+ million in free agency this offseason. And again, what's the common theme with a couple of these players here and the individuals that we're talking about? The rental isn't worth the future assets if Golden State will not pay him this summer, and they probably won't and can't afford a player like that this summer, given all of the money that they're paying and extending players with. So to round things out, 5 trade targets to avoid here on Warriors Today. NBA trade deadline coming up on Thursday, February 9th. Eric Gordon, Cam Reddish, John Collins, Jay Crowder, Jakob Poeltl. Let us know what you think about that list. And if you made it this far, real one, roll call. If you made it this far, you're subscribed, you love our coverage, and you love the Dubs, make sure you type real one if you made it to the end of today's show. And as always, we appreciate all of you for rocking with us.